wrong to balance the books on the backs of the sick and disabled people?
There are alternative, more compassionate ways to balance the books.
There are decisions made in this House that stay with you for the rest of your life. This is one of them.
The voices against were many back in March. Now they've multiplied.
How are you going to deal with the rebellion on welfare?
Nice to see you.
Government plans to reform welfare and cut the benefits bill risk ruin the saboteurs, their own MPs.
I was diagnosed in 2019. There's a scale of MS that they measure from 1 to 10, and I'm at 6.
Katie has relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. She works from home, but her personal independent payment, or PIP, she says, is crucial.
And then your current assessment now, what will you get if the new rules come in?
Nothing.
OK.
The government plans to cut £5 billion a year from the welfare bill. Part of that will mean making it harder for disabled people with less severe conditions to get PIPs.
It would have a significant impact on me financially. Long term, if I have any left over, I'm saving that up to buy a wheelchair. Really, there are days now when I should be using an electric wheelchair to get around independently. I don't have one of those, they're expensive.
Those government plans, though, have hit a major hurdle, an amendment to effectively block the bill signed by more than 120 Labour MPs. You are a first-time MP. This is one of the biggest bills that the government's bringing forward. It's a very big move for you to be going against the government on this. Why are you doing it?
Not really. I mean, it wasn't in our manifesto, so it wasn't a pledge that I stood on when I got elected in July. The government thinks it can raise this amount of money, nearly £5 billion plus, through these cuts. In fact, most of those cuts, those savings will be wiped out because people who lose their benefits will then end up putting more pressure on the NHS. A bit of a dead end, this really, rather than a fundraiser. It's a dead end in terms of making poorer people even poorer.
The Prime Minister has vowed to press ahead. The government line, they have no choice.
I think we're always prepared to talk these things through, but we believe that reform of the welfare system is an essential thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
The government say they're listening to disabled people, but we haven't seen the evidence of that with the lack of consultation on these huge cuts to disability benefits. If the government are really listening to disabled people, they will stop these cuts and they will meaningfully protect disability benefits.
This rebellion isn't just a threat to the Prime Minister's economic plans, but a major threat to his authority too.
I want this to be a Labour government that has Labour values at its core.
These cuts to benefits, do you feel that they represent Labour values?
I feel that reform is needed, and I think it's how that reform is done.
That's a very diplomatic answer.
That's me.
But what it wasn't was...
diplomatic.
Yes, I believe that Keir Starmer, what he's doing here, represents Labour values. So these cuts, do you think they represent Labour values?
I can tell you what I've fought for all my years as a Labour MP and my Labour values. I can't tell you what other people's belief systems are.
The Conservatives tonight say they could help the Prime Minister if he jumps through some hoops. Some of his own MPs are saying, though, it's too late. This flagship bill simply needs to be withdrawn.
Well, joining me now from Westminster is Debbie Abrahams, Chair of the Work and Pensions Select Committee. She's one of the Labour MPs who signed the amendment. Debbie Abrahams, you've made it clear, all of you, that you support the principle of reform in this amendment that you're putting forward. But the reality is that if this amendment is chosen and passes, this effectively kills the government's bill, doesn't it?
So on the sort of principles around a reasoned amendment, it is highly unlikely that the Speaker would select that. We've tabled this principally as a symbolic amendment to make sure that we're listened to, really. We have considerable concerns, as your piece describes, Jackie.
Because they're not listening to you right now, are they?
Not as much as we would like. I mean, there have been numerous meetings and so on, but no, there hasn't been any significant movement, and the bill tabled last Wednesday shows that.
Now, 5 years ago, you stood up in the House of Commons looking on the verge of tears, as I remember it, reading out a list of people who had taken their own lives, citing fears or having actually lost benefits under the last government's cuts. Do you believe in their current form that these cuts your government is proposing will actually put vulnerable people at risk?
I am concerned about that, yes, and we have evidence from previous changes in eligibility criteria. Back in 2010, there were changes in employment support allowance, which is similar to the UC health element, and 600 additional suicides occurred as a result of that. That was published in a peer-reviewed journal. And in 2017, we saw 130,000 additional new mental health cases, increases in severe poverty as a result of those cuts. And this particular group of people who will be affected is 3 times larger.
So just to be quite clear, you're saying that you believe these cuts in their current form could cost lives?
There is that risk. I did ask this actually in work and pensions questions on Monday, only yesterday, and there wasn't really an answer. So there is that risk, and that is what I'm incredibly concerned about. We published, the Select Committee published a Safeguarding Vulnerable Claimants report just a month ago, which made recommendations that we needed to have a systems-based approach to policy making affecting all policies at all levels, and needed to consider the safeguarding arrangements. As far as I am aware, this has not happened with this bill.
I mean, presumably what your own Prime Minister, what the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions would tell you is that they believe in the reform, of course, but they also need the £5 billion a year that they say the plans will raise. What are you suggesting to them in terms of finding that money elsewhere?
So first of all, absolutely we support the reforms, as you mentioned at the start. But we believe that if there was a delay that coincided with, for example, the publication of Charlie Mayfield's review on the labour market, we've got a 30% disability employment gap. The Joseph Rowntree Foundation published a report today showing that there just aren't the jobs for disabled people. If you're saying that we're going to cut support next April, where are they meant to get the jobs? How are they meant to live? These are the really serious concerns that we have, and we believed if they do that, the employment support, making sure that people can get the health treatments that they need, whether that's elective care or mental health care, then they will make savings as a result of people being able to go into work.
Debbie Abrahams, thank you very much for talking to us. Going to have to leave it there for now, but thank you.